What's up everybody? Kip here with Omnia Fishing, and today we have a pretty exciting rod bending for you. Not only are we talking about one of my favorite techniques, that being the Texas rig, we are also doing another giveaway. A couple of months ago, we gave away a $250 gift card to a lucky subscriber. And today, we are actually giving away a rod. You've been looking at it this whole time. We're giving away this Daiwa Zillion. This is a 7'2" heavy power fast action. The Zillion line has been pretty popular for us. The reels have obviously done amazing. And last time we did one of these giveaways, we had a subscriber goal in mind. This time around, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna let this run for about 3 weeks. So 3 weeks from today, we will announce the winner of this Zillion. All you have to do to enter to win this exact rod is to like this video, leave a comment on this video, and of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you do those 3 things, you will be entered to win this rod. I'm not sure if there's gonna be any accounts in the comments trying to scam you, but we will never ask for your credit card information. We're only gonna announce this 3 weeks from today. So please do not give anybody your credit card information. But with that being said, let's get into the specs of this Daiwa Zillion that you could win. It came in at 4.8 ounces. Like I said, it's a 7'2" heavy power, fast action. It's rated from 3/8 of an ounce to 1.5 ounces. Pretty wide range, and it's your stereotypical Texas rig specs. The Zillions, I don't have any personal experience with yet, but I've used a ton of other Daiwa rods, and this falls in that jig Texas rig category for sure, maybe even a frog. But cool line from Daiwa. They've got the carbon handle, cork split grip, and the air sensor reel seat. Super comfortable rod. So let's bring this Daiwa Zillion to the rod wall. Again, 7'2" heavy fast action. All right, here we are on the wall with that Daiwa Zillion, 7'2" heavy fast action, and giving it a little bit of pressure. Definitely a fast action. And if you give it a ton of pressure, still pretty fast. One thing I have noticed with these Zillion rods, again, just from playing with them around the office, I haven't had any actual fishing experience with them, is they feel a little bit softer than the same model in a different family from Daiwa. For example, like they make a 7'2" heavy power fast action rod in the Steez lineup, and it feels just a little bit, not stiffer, but faster, I would say. To me, the Zillions feel a tad more moderate. This is definitely not a moderate rod, but it's hard to convey what I'm feeling. It's definitely a little bit slower than the same model in other families, if that makes sense, from Daiwa. But with that being said, I like that for a lot of techniques, and a jig or a Texas rig is definitely one of them. So really cool rod from Daiwa in the Zillion line. Again, if you want a chance to win this, leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. We'll announce it in 3 weeks. Moving on to the second rod in this week's rod bend, we've got another rod from a family that I'm not super familiar with. This is the Dobyns Caden. It's their 745C. I've said it in our jig rod bending video. Not super familiar with Dobyns. It's definitely a brand that I just haven't used in the past, but I'm kind of getting the understanding of what they're all about. Just in hand, so it came in at 5.6 ounces, which is by no means a super light rod, but Dobyns for sure focuses more on balance than anything. And to me, balance equals sensitivity. So definitely counterbalanced. It feels really good in hand for I think it's a $180 rod. It feels awesome. It is rated from 1/4 ounce to 1.5 ounces, even wider range than that Zillion we were looking at. But they're calling it their jig, frog, pitch-in, small swim bait rod. And by the feel of it, I can see it working for all of those things. So the Dobyns Caden 745C, it's a mag heavy fast action. Let's take it to the wall. All right, here we are with that Dobyns Caden 745C, mag heavy fast action, and giving it a little bit of pressure. Again, definitely a fast action. And what I'm impressed with about these Dobyns rods, even in the Ecstasy that we bent a couple of weeks ago, they've got pretty soft tips. Even though this is a mag heavy, a 5 power, again, a 5 power is different for every manufacturer, but a mag heavy, to me, this feels really versatile. I think they nailed it on the head with what they're recommending for this rod. Jigs, pitching, frogs, swim baits. It seems like it can do all of that. Whether you're a big fluoro guy or a braid to leader or straight braid even, I wouldn't shy away from throwing, you know, up to 3/4, maybe even an ounce weights on a Texas rig if you want. So if you're in the market for a big line, big bait rod, and you don't want to break the bank, for $180, this Dobyns Caden is really impressive. I'm a fan of these Dobyns rods. I might have to check one out in the future. It's tough to talk about bottom contact techniques without throwing in a Loomis in there. Again, this is a family that I haven't thrown before. I have used several NRX rods, not this particular model, but one of our CSRs, Chase, you've seen him in a couple of these videos. This model is one of his favorites for your lighter Texas rig, sparser vegetation style of rods. This is the Loomis GLX 893 JWR. Came in at 3.5 ounces. It's a 7'5" rod. 3.5 ounces is of course nuts. And it's rated from 3/16 ounce to 5/8 ounce. Now this is on the lighter end of the spectrum of rods we've talked about thus far and will talk about in the future. But if you are throwing your 1/8 ounce to 1/2 ounce Texas rigs, I think this is gonna be a killer option, especially if you're a braid to leader guy. That braid's gonna give it a little bit more power, and I think it'd make a killer Texas rig rod. So without further ado, let's check this thing out. The Loomis GLX 893 JWR. All right, we've got the Loomis GLX 893 JWR back on the wall here. One thing I forgot to mention is they label it an extra fast, and giving it a little bit of pressure here. Seems like an extra fast, but kind of leaning a little more towards fast, which is surprising for a Loomis rod. When you give it some power, it does seem like it is more of a fast action, at least from this angle. And I say it's surprising because the NRX rods that I've used in the past, if it's an extra fast, or if they label it an extra fast, it is an extra fast for sure. And to me, this seems, maybe it's the length, 7'5" rod being a little bit longer than the ones that I've used. But to me, this feels a little bit more like a fast, which I think I've said it in the past, I'm a fan of. Extra fast rods are great for detecting bites, sensitivity, not the best fish landing actions in the world. So I'm a fan of this rod. Again, feels ridiculous in hand. If you're deciding between a GLX or an NRX, definitely don't shy away from these GLXs. I know some people aren't a fan of the recoil guides you get on the NRXs, especially if you're on braid to leader. It can hang up in those a little bit. These have your standard Fuji guides. So killer option here in the GLX line from Loomis, the 893 JWR. All right, next rod up for us this week is a family of rods that is one of my favorites. I think it's right up there for best bang for your buck. That being the Megabass Levante. This is the perfect pitch. It comes in, it's a 7'2", 7 power, which I believe equates to a heavy in Megabass speak. And it came in at 5.7 ounces. Not the lightest rod in the world. It is $200, and I think it is balanced pretty well for that weight. It's rated from 3/8 ounce to 1.2 ounces. Kind of a weird rating there, but the Levante line has been through a few different iterations. 3-4 years ago when this greenish model first came out, they were having some breakage issues, and those have been fixed without a doubt. I've owned a few of these and they're rock solid. And for the price, $200, pretty tough to beat in the looks department. I think the green with the purple and just the attention to detail they put in these rods is a good touch. Looks aren't everything. It's about performance, but if that's something you care about, these are definitely a winner. But let's go bend this thing. The Megabass Levante perfect pitch, 7'2", heavy, fast action. Back on the wall with that Megabass Levante perfect pitch, and just giving it a little bit of power here. Kind of a wild action, at least with a little bit of pressure. It feels like it has a really soft tip, and then you're gonna hit some serious backbone. I remember when Chris Zaldane was still with Megabass, he liked the perfect pitch. I think he was using the Orochi. He liked the perfect pitch for a mag draft and a frog as well, and I could definitely see that. With a mag draft, that, you know, obviously it's got a treble hook underneath, and it has enough tip where you're not going to rip that treble hook away from those fish, but then you hit some serious backbone when you're obviously chasing a bigger bite at that point. I can see where this rod fit that scenario for him. But giving it more pressure here, definitely hit some backbone. It's all of a fast action. In fact, it's a pretty sharp break there. I'm not ready to call it an extra fast, but the transition from where it wants to bend to backbone is pretty quick. One thing I like about these Levante rods, and actually the older Orochi had it too, the reel seat, it's a pretty minimalistic trigger there, and it's also pushed back a little bit. I've always been a fan of putting all my fingers above the reel seat, or the reel trigger. And this gives you plenty of room to do that. It also has just a painted section up to the first guide, and then you're unfinished throughout the rest. I've said it again in the past, but kind of lightens up that tip section, makes it feel a little bit more alive. So if you're a Megabass junkie and you haven't checked out the Levante for some reason, definitely give it a look. The most affordable Megabass rod as of now, and definitely no slouch in the performance department. Again, this was the Levante 7'2" heavy perfect pitch. Last rod for the week. Another rod from Falcon. Seems like we've been adding more and more of these into these videos, and found out there's a pretty big following in our subscribers for Falcon rods. So we're gonna bet another one. This is again a Falcon Cara. We've talked about the lowrider and we featured an expert last week, but this is the 7'3" extra heavy, and they're calling it a mod fast, I believe. This is the Amistad extra heavy, they're calling it. Amistad's been a really popular rod for Falcon and for us too. We sell out of them super quick. And this is just a little bit beefier version of that. It came in at 5.2 ounces and it's rated from 3/4 of an ounce to 1.5 ounces. This is a no joke kind of rod. You mean business. This is Jason Christie's pitching rod. I was surprised. I've watched some videos about him talking about this. I was surprised about how low in weight he goes on this. I mean, he's not punching with this rod. It's an everyday flipping stick for him. But if you're familiar with Jason Christie, or if you're familiar with the way he likes to fish, he's a big line man, 22-pound test, 25-pound test, and he's not messing around when he sets the hook. He's all business. So not surprised that this is a type of rod that he likes. But again, one that I haven't been before. So let's see what it's like. The 7'3" extra heavy mod fast Falcon Amistad extra heavy. All right, wrapping it up with this Falcon Cara Amistad extra heavy. And man, this thing is no joke. Just giving it a little pressure like usual, not much bend there. And it's to be expected, but once you give it more power, does want to load. But man, if you are a big fluoro guy, this is your rod. It's super stout. But if you want a shorter rod for punching, this could absolutely fit the bill. Maybe you got a shorter boat, you can't fit a 7'6" to 8-foot rod in your rod locker. This coming in at 7'3" can definitely get the job done. Now, this is one of those scenarios where I'm not gonna list off a bunch of techniques that this is gonna excel at. I think it's pretty pigeonholed into flipping, big jigs, big weights, punching, and thick cover, thick vegetation. That is where this rod is gonna shine. But I mean, if you've got a Jason Christie mindset and you are not messing around, the Falcon Cara Amistad extra heavy is definitely a rod you wanna take a look at. All right, that is gonna do it for this week. If you want a chance to win this Daiwa Zillion 7'2" heavy fast action, coming in at like 330 bucks, be sure to like this video, drop a comment in the comment section below, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. If you're already subscribed, you're one step ahead. Just leave a like, drop a comment, you're entered. Again, we're gonna be running this giveaway for 3 weeks. 3 weeks from today, in that week's rod bending, we'll announce the winner. And again, please do not give anybody your credit card information. Not sure if they'll be in the comments, but if they are, we will never ask you for that kind of stuff. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Bass fishing is right around the corner for us in the North Country. If you're down south, already fishing, hope you're out there catching them. But enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will catch you next week back at the Rod Wall.